Picture a wedding. It does not matter which country, which city you have been to this wedding. One family shows up in a rented luxury car, designer clothes, gold stacked on every wrist, phones out, photos everywhere. The other family arrives quietly, simple clothes, no drama. They hand the bride an envelope and sit down. Now tell me which family is actually wealthy. If you guessed the loud one, you just got tricked. And so does almost everyone else every single day. Because right now, whether you are watching this from America, the UK, Australia, Canada, or anywhere in the developing world, the people who look the richest are very often the closest to financial collapse. And the people quietly building something real have learned to look completely ordinary on purpose. That gap between looking wealthy and actually being wealthy is what this entire video is about. Let's be honest about the numbers first, because they are uncomfortable. And they are uncomfortable everywhere. In the United States, the wealthiest large economy on Earth, roughly 60% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck heading into 2026. That alone is striking. But here is the detail that should stop you cold. Around 40% of people earning over $100,000 a year were also living paycheck to paycheck. 6 figures. Still broke at the end of the month. In the UK, surveys show nearly half of working adults have less than 1 month of savings as a financial cushion. In Australia, household debt relative to income sits among the highest in the developed world. In Canada, the personal savings rate collapsed to near historic lows even as house prices kept climbing. And across developing economies in South Asia, Africa, and Southeast Asia, the picture is sharper still. The majority of people earning what is considered a good salary in their country report having less than 1 month of emergency savings. The pattern is the same everywhere. The salary goes up. The spending goes up faster, and the savings, the actual money that could change the future, stays close to zero. The car is nice. The clothes are good. The Instagram looks wonderful. The financial reality underneath is terrifying. And the most dangerous part? It looks completely fine from the outside. So why do smart people in rich countries and poor ones keep falling into this trap? Because everywhere in the world, what you own gets treated as proof of what you are worth. The address, the car, the watch, the phone. Status is not private, it is public, tracked, and performed. In the United States, it is the truck or the SUV that signals you have made it. In the UK, it is the postcode and the holiday destination. In Australia, it is the renovation and the investment property conversation at every dinner party. In Canada, it is the detached house in the right suburb at any price. And across the developing world, it is the brand, the event, and the visible markers that say, your family is not falling behind. Different countries, same trap. But here is the mechanism that makes it truly dangerous. A financial upgrade does not stay contained. It multiplies. You get a raise and buy a nicer car. Now the old furniture looks out of place. So you upgrade the furniture. Now the apartment feels too small. So you move. Now the new neighborhood has different expectations: the schools, the social circles, the version of yourself that fits the address. One upgrade quietly forced a dozen more. Economists call this the lifestyle cascade. And once it starts, it is almost impossible to stop because every new baseline feels like the floor, not the ceiling. The wealthy families who actually stay wealthy learn to see this cascade coming and refuse to start it. Not because they could not afford the upgrade, because they understood what the first upgrade would cost them next. Let's put hard numbers on this, because the math is more brutal than most people let themselves see. In the United States, the average new car payment hit nearly $770 a month in late 2025, an all-time record. In the UK, the average car finance payment runs well over £400 a month. In Australia and Canada, financed vehicle costs tell a similar story, but the monthly payment is only the first cost. Here is the calculation almost nobody runs before they sign. Take $400 a month, a conservative car payment in any of these markets. Instead of that payment, invest that same amount every single month into a basic index fund at a 10% average annual return. In 10 years, roughly $76,000 in 20 years, roughly $305,000 in 30 years, over $900,000 from one car payment. A number that sits quietly in the background while the car depreciates in the driveway. And in developing markets, the math is just as punishing at local scale. A financed status vehicle in any Tier 2 or Tier 3 country eats a similar proportion of a middle-class income with even higher interest rates on top. The percentage loss is the same. The opportunity cost is the same. Only the currency changes. The car did not just cost what was on the price tag. It cost everything that money could have become. And that second number, the one that never appears on any receipt, is always the larger one. Live the same logic to every status purchase. The oversized house bought to impress. The wedding that cost 10 times what it needed to. The phone replaced 2 years too early. Every single time, the same invisible trade is being made. Present appearance exchanged for future freedom. Most people make that trade every month without ever realizing it is a trade at all. Here is where the story turns, because the answer is almost boring, and that is exactly why it works. Research on millionaires in the United States found that 61% of households earning over $250,000 a year do not drive luxury brands. They drive Toyotas, Hondas, and Fords. Someone pulling in $250,000 a year could clearly afford the badge. The majority simply choose not to. Studies in the UK, Australia, and Canada tell the same story. The genuinely wealthy, the ones who built real net worth across generations, live in houses more modest than their bank accounts could justify. They wear clothes without logos. They do not perform. And quietly, behind all of that ordinary-looking life, they are accumulating assets. Land, businesses, investments, things that grow while they sleep. The research keeps returning to the same word, frugality. Not as an occasional habit, as a permanent operating system. And that operating system can be compressed into 4 steps. Call it the Quiet Wealth Formula 1. Earn. Get your income. Any income. It does not need to be extraordinary. 2. Keep. Before you spend anything, protect a fixed percentage. Non-negotiable. Every month. 3. Invest. Put what you kept into assets that compound over time. Not savings accounts. Assets. 4. Repeat. When your income rises, do not upgrade your lifestyle. Widen the gap instead. Then repeat. That is it. 4 steps. No complexity, no secret knowledge. The wealthy are not doing something different. They are doing the same thing, consistently, for long enough that the math does the work for them. One line captures the whole idea. When people stop spending money trying to look wealthy, they finally have the money to actually become wealthy. Here is the most important idea in this entire video, and it is one word: options. Real wealth is not a number in a bank account. Real wealth is what that number lets you do. Can you say no to a job that is slowly destroying you? Can you take 6 months off when your family needs you? Can you move countries for an opportunity, whether that means moving from a developing country to a Tier 1 city or leaving a high-cost city in the US or UK for somewhere that actually lets you breathe? Can you start a business without a guaranteed salary behind you? Can you handle a medical emergency without borrowing from anyone? Those choices that freedom only belong to people who built a gap between what they earn and what they spend. The person earning a high salary in London or Sydney or Toronto, but spending almost all of it, has almost no options. They are locked to the next paycheck, exactly like everyone else, just with a nicer looking cage and a higher cost of living. The person earning less but spending well below it, whether in a Tier 1 country or a Tier 3 one, has freedom. The high earner can only watch from a distance. Every status purchase is a quiet trade. You are exchanging future options for present appearances. Sometimes that trade is worth making. Most of the time, quietly, it is not. So what does the quiet wealth formula actually look like in practice? Here are the 5 moves, and they work whether you are in New York, London, Melbourne, or anywhere else on Earth. First, decouple your income from your identity. A raise is not permission to upgrade who you are. It is a chance to widen the gap between what you earn and what you live on. The person living on last year's budget while earning this year's income is the one quietly winning in every country, in every currency. Second, pay yourself first automatically. Do not trust yourself to save whatever is left at the end of the month. There will never be anything left. Instead, move your investment contribution out the same day you get paid, before the money feels spendable. In the US, UK, Australia, and Canada, there are tax-advantaged accounts built exactly for this 401(k), ISA, superannuation, RRSP. Use the structure. Build your life around what remains. Third, use things until they actually stop working, not until a newer version exists. Not until someone else upgraded. Until the thing genuinely fails to do its job. Every premature replacement is money stolen from your future self. Run the cost per use calculation. Price divided by realistic number of uses. Most impulse buys collapse on that number alone. Fourth, define enough before the money arrives. High earners in every country fall into the same trap. They never set a finish line. So every raise just moves the target further out. Decide in advance what a sufficient home, a sufficient car, and a sufficient life actually look like for you. Then let every dollar, pound, or unit of currency beyond that go straight into the keep and invest steps of the formula. Fifth, mute the comparison feed. Most of the pressure to look rich does not come from your real life. It pours out of a screen, the same screen, whether you are in California or Colombo, showing a curated highlight reel of people performing a prosperity most of them cannot afford. The genuinely wealthy are almost never on that stage. They have nothing to prove and no one to prove it to. Go back to that wedding. The loud family and the quiet one. You see them differently now. You know which one is more likely to still be standing in 20 years. You know which one's children will have options. And you know the gap between them was never really about income and never really about which country they lived in. It was about 4 steps repeated long enough for the math to matter. Earn, keep, invest, repeat. That is the whole game. Whether you are playing it in dollars, pounds, or any other currency, the rules are identical. And freedom is what it looks like when you win. Quiet, unannounced, with nothing to prove and nowhere to be unless you choose it. The next time you feel that pull to spend money you do not have on something you do not need, to impress people who are not paying your bills, remember the quiet family. The richest move you will ever make is almost always the one nobody sees.